Okay, first attempts, here we go. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Courtney and I'm so excited to finally be sharing my journaling process. It's something that I've thought about doing for a long time and I finally bit the bullet and have made this video for you guys. So to start off, I always like to do a word of the year. For 2023, I've decided that my word will be headway. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in terms of what to color for my sketch that I have underneath the word headway. So while I kind of thought about the color scheme and stuff, I decided to go in and start my year at a glance. As you can see, I have some pencil markers that have the months divided up, and right now I'm just going in with a brush pen and just doing the days of the week. I do like to start on a Monday because that is how I like to do my weekly spreads, but of course you could start with a Sunday, which might be your style. So as you can see, I have all of the boxes kind of divided up. I went ahead beforehand and figured out how many rows I would need for each month, and that is how I decided. So it's not perfectly even, but it is evenly spaced based on the amount of rows. So some require 5, but then there's a couple sneaky ones in there that require 6 rows, just especially because I started on a Monday. So I have a calendar up on my computer screen, which is just off the view that I am referencing. So the next step is to go in with a fine liner. I really like this one. It's just a 0.1 millimeter. And I'm just going in straight with ink for the days. It's so tedious, so I did not go in with a pencil beforehand. And of course, I added a 29 to February, but you know what? That's okay. So I always like to do a word of the year. In the past, I've done, lighthearted and present. But this year I decided to pick headway, and for me that is just this forward motion, the moving forward, and creating this video for you is one of the first steps in that. I just really aspire to create and to share my creations, and these journaling videos that I am starting to make are a big part of that, so I'm very excited. For the colors of the month, I decided to go in with this magenta color and to embrace the color of the year, that Viva Magenta. So I'm just going in with a Crayola Super Tips. You'll see that I kind of dab it with my hand. I now have a tissue, which I will do that. So that's one of my biggest tips, is to go in with a tissue and to blot out the extra pigment that ends up on the end of your stroke. I just think it looks a lot cleaner and it will prevent any smudging. So I will do that after every time I write a month. To finish off this page, I'm taking my Echo Liner, which is the thickest brush pen that I have in black, and I'm just writing 2023 at the top. I wrote it backwards so that I would have enough space. Finally decided, you know what, let's embrace this kind of pink color. So I'm going in with my watercolors. You can see this beautiful old watercolor tray. I'm just going in with that with some pinks and some oranges to do the sails. I also am just using a pocket brush pen. I wanted something really low maintenance, and so I didn't really think about, didn't want to grab a water and one of my fancier brushes, so here we are. You can see my palette is pretty dirty, but the colors still come out really clean. That is the beauty of watercolor. It's just such a low maintenance and forgiving medium, I find. For the next page, I've decided to come in with my beautiful fine text to work on my lunar calendar. I do this every year. It's just fun. I love the phases of the moon. I'm absolutely a moon child, and I really enjoyed making this page. So to start, I went with both this kind of silver color and the champagne color next to it, and I'm just coloring all of the half phases and the full phases with this concoction. I go back and forth between the two colors, sometimes pure, sometimes mixed. I've decided to, change it up, kind of a more eclectic look with the two tones. In the past, I've used copper and gold, and this year I just wanted to try something else. I've done this, I think, 3 or 4 times, and it's just fun to do. I don't know, I just think it looks really pretty at the end. It's a pretty easy page, but it does take a little bit of time. For the circles, I actually traced the lid of my Crayola Super Tip. It's the perfect size to fit in a 4 square box. So that is what I used to get those perfect circles. They do not stay perfect circles as I've painted, and later I'll go in with a marker, but still. Took a little tea break, enjoying Moroccan mint. That is my current favorite. I love a good green tea. And now I'm coming in with a marker. I decided to use the Ecoline fine liner just because it is going to get the job done fast. I will come in later with another finer tip just to smooth out the edges, but for now, just something quick and dirty to get pigment down. The last step is to come in with a brush pen and to write out the letters for each month. In the past, I've kind of gone in and done a fancier hand lettering based off specific fonts. I usually try to find like a witchy one, but this time I've decided to keep things a little simpler, and just to speed things along, I'm just doing my own lettering style. It's just kind of the basic hand lettering that I intuitively do. I didn't really have to think about it. It's just how I brush letter. I'm using the Pocket Pentel brush here, and it is one of my favorites for brush lettering. It's got a really nice stiff nib, so I find that your letters look more confident. They don't look so shaky. Sometimes with a softer nib, it's just a little harder to control. Finally coming in with the title. Decided to use the bullet nib on the Tombow. I kind of regretted this decision. I wish that I had picked a finer point, something else. I think it just kind of looks a little sloppy. So if I could do this again, I would have picked a finer point for that one. The next page is, or sequence of pages, is my 2023 goals. This first page is a title page. And then I have my goals set out into 4 categories. So to start, I made a circle, and I'm just doing some little floral doodles around. I'm using a fine liner. I am not, nothing is sketched out beforehand. I'm just kind of winging it and mixing some solid lines and some coloring in. Later on I will go in with the Tombow here. You can see that now. Going in with the Tombow bullet nib again just to color in some, just to add some variety. Just adding a little bit of a circle, and then decided to add some dots. And I do keep this consistent over the next sequence of pages just so that the theme for this section of my 2023 goals is kind of the same. Always blotting, constantly blotting. So this pen that I'm using is my Muji Moonstone color. It's probably, I don't know, I feel like it's a secret weapon in my bullet journal kit and also my sketchbook kit. I love it. It kind of looks like a pencil, but it has a quality that is a pen. It's obviously a pen. It's not really shiny, like it's not a silver. I don't know, it's just beautiful. I love it. I'm a fan. So I have 4 goal pages. I've divided my goals up this year into 4 different categories, and then within each category I have 3 goals specific to that category. So I have 4 pages with kind of a header that has the section, the category name, and then 3 squares for each individual goals, and then the empty square that you see beside the big circle is for my why. So I really think it's important to remind yourself as to why you've decided to set these goals. So I always like to have a section in my goal setting page that I can write that down and really think about it and be intentional. So my categories this year are love, create, livelihood, and health. So here I am just going in with my watercolor, mixing a couple kinds of blues here. I do have a sheet that you'll see me use anytime I'm doing watercolor just to prevent bleeding on the other side. It is kind of cardstock, but it's kind of got like a plastic cover. It's kind of it's not, anyway, it kind of wicks away water. I have no idea where I got it from, but I've been using it for years now, and it's very handy. So the paint dried really, really fast, which was awesome. So I could go in right away with some inks. I just erased some of the things that I prepared, and I'm going in with that same Moonstone pen. And this is with kind of no planning, just, I don't know, winging it. That is kind of my style when it comes to bullet journaling. I very, very rarely will use pencils to plan things out beforehand, and sometimes it bites me in the ass, but for the most part it is fine. I find that if I overthink it, I get too stiff. So next I go in with a black brush pen and write out the why, and then just add a little bit of black details around the page. Trying to keep that same motif of the circle with the dots. It's a little sloppy, but I think that gives it some charm. Definitely kind of a maximalist look, not a minimalist look. Finally, I am coming in with a blue Crayola Super Tip. So like I said, I love these bad boys. There's a color variation you just can't beat. So just moving that tissue on to the next page so that water doesn't transfer or that the inks don't smudge, and then doing the next 2 pages in the exact same way. Like I said, I have 4 goal pages, so it's just repeated again. I think the biggest tip for using watercolors in the notebook therapy is just to move quickly, because it does dry really fast and the page just kind of eats the watercolor, so you can see clearly the stroke lines, and I think that's okay for this though. It just adds to the texture. Just know that going in, you're really gonna struggle to get a nice smooth finish, or at least I did. You might have a mad watercolor skills that I do not possess, but it was just outside the realm of possibility for me, so I just gave up. I just thought, you know, the texture of the brush strokes is just part of the intention, part of the charm. So I tried to be really strategic about which areas I filled first so that they would kind of make sense if you did see the brush strokes. Had way too much pigment, and so tried to kind of eat some of it up, and it kind of worked, kind of not, but that's okay. I was to do this again, because I am left-handed, I might actually start with the right-hand page, just because I kept wanting to rest my hand down, but the paint next to me was already wet. So, you know, left-hand struggles. So here I am just writing out the next part. So we have livelihood and create as the next two on this page. And then I also do like a little leaf doodle just to kind of fill the space. In fact, later on I'll go in with the Crayola super tips and just add more of those leaf doodles. I just love doing them. They're really easy. I think they kind of spruce up any page. Here I'm struggling because the paint is still wet, so I decided to wait to finish off the word create. So I came in with the Pentel pocket brush again. So then I decided that this title page needed some more of that blue. So I went in and just kind of made a strip. I tried to be very careful and not touch the Tombow, but of course I did smudge one of the black dots. So something to be really mindful of is that if you're going to be using watercolor, some of your fine liners, some of your inks that you might have on the page might be water resistant, or they might be water activated. So Tombow brush pens are all water activated. Now as routines, I've decided just to write out some daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly things. I didn't put any times or anything associated with them. They're just kind of activities that I'd like to do for my own well-being. So first I went in with some watercolor, and this is an example of me just eyeballing it with my watercolors to make these squares. I did not pencil or plan or anything, and then it kind of just worked out that they were squares. I'm sure if I thought about it, I could have got there, but it's just easier this way. So I just went in with a yellow, and then I wrote in black over top. Now later on I do go in with the yellow super tip and do a little bit of floral doodles or leaf doodles. I think that's not actually filmed, but you'll see it in the flip through at the end. It just makes the page look a little cuter. Alright, and here we are, all finished. So excited to show you my first flip through. My 2023 setup. I think it turned out super cute. I really like my word of the year, my little sailboat, of course my year at a glance. There is an example of that leaf doodle that you'll see kind of hidden throughout. The lunar calendar here, just look at that shine. Ugh, so pretty. And my 2023 goals, which I think turned out super cute too. And then here are the sections for love and health. As you can see, I did go in with that blue super tip just to create a couple more leaf doodles, and I think that it just finished off the page. There's livelihood and create. And then finally is the routines page. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you for January setup. Bye bye!